There's another dude in the AFC North I want to touch on real quick before we hit this break. And this is interesting, man. So Baker Mayfield, another dude who's on the contract clock. Both he and Lamar Jackson, obviously taking the same draft, 1 and 32. They are both, in the process of securing long-term extensions. Interesting article I saw from Jeff Howe in The Athletic said Baker Mayfield and the Browns remain in a holding pattern with his contract extension. So far, each side has been comfortable with that approach. The Browns have yet to extend an offer to the number 1 pick from the 18 draft, according to sources. While all is currently quiet, neither side has ruled out the idea of opening negotiations during the season. The relationship between Mayfield and the Browns remains positive, according to the sources. So here's where it gets good. From the Browns' perspective, they want to see Mayfield produce over a longer stretch of time in second-year head coach Kevin Stefanski's offensive system. They believe Mayfield was much better over the second half of last season. So on and so forth. As for Mayfield, he has never had an issue with betting on his own performance. If he continues his upward trajectory, his value will follow, especially as the salary cap increase in the coming years. I thought that's fascinating. I mean, and our man Charles Robinson wrote about this on Yahoo a couple of days ago about how teams wanting more information before committing those long-term mega deals to quarterbacks who are still on rookie contracts. So I thought that was interesting that the Browns want to see more from Baker. You feel like the jury's still out on Baker Mayfield, so much so that if you were running the Browns, if you were Andrew Berry, you'd be like, hey, you know what? I'd just like to see, you did well in the second half of last year. Do a little bit more before we're sure that we want to give you the back up the Brinks truck for you. Found that interesting.
No, I find that interesting, but I find more interesting. Now we have to go back and study the tapes. I think on the fly, and I was thinking about, it's so funny that you bring this up, because sometimes on the show, we're thinking about the mechanics of it and what's next, and hey, you're just trying to run a show, and certain little things kind of slip by. I think.
No,
if I'm not
nothing
mistaken,
slips by me. What?
Oh, nothing slips by you?
Nothing.
Okay, well, you smelling yourself a little bit too much, because if you find this fascinating, this did slip by you, because I think Thomas Dimitrov kind of gave us a scoop. When we talked to him the other day, he said, expect some news, didn't he? Didn't he say, I was thinking about this, didn't he say something about Baker? Because I asked him about Baker Mayfield and Lamar Jackson. He said, from what I'm hearing from people in the organization, unless I made this up. Now, I make some stuff up sometimes.
Yes.
Just be playing around.
Yes.
But I don't think I made this up. I think he said, what I'm hearing is that a deal is
Yes.
about to be, like, it's gonna get done. And he's not just throwing it out there. He know people. But beyond that, regardless of what Dimitrov said, if to answer your question, if I'm the Browns, yeah, I'm going with Baker Mayfield. Like, Baker Mayfield's my guy, because I've seen enough already. I don't need to see, if I saw the second half of Stefanski's, the second half of last season, he's thriving in Stefanski's season, and you're saying he's not an attitude problem, he's receptive to coaching, then we ain't got no problems, Jules. It's done. If he's receptive, he's a good quarterback, yeah, you can win with Baker Mayfield. And obviously they think they can win with him because they're already thinking they got Super Bowl aspirations. You can win with this guy. I would sign him.
So first half of last season, he 15 touchdowns, 7 picks. Second half, 15 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and just housekeeping purposes. He's got the 5th-year option in 2022. And if it came down to it, which you never wanted to come down to this, they, of course, have the franchise tag. So as Jeff Howe points out, they got time on their side and holding the leverage of remaining in control over year-to-year terms. But here's the thing, man. I don't know that the Browns as a franchise have that luxury. And I'll make this last point, and we'll go to break, and we'll talk some other football stuff with Chris Sims in a few minutes. But, like, look, how many quarterbacks did the Browns go through before they got to Baker Mayfield? Like, the Browns are that person who is, like, looking for love in all the wrong places. Or as Eddie Murphy's Buckwheat character used to say, whooping for nub in all the wrong places. Like, they've been through so many quarterbacks since they came back in 1999. And they finally took a guy. Remember, they were passing on a bunch of them at one point in the first round. They finally took one.
They were taking a bunch of them too. Yeah.
Seemed to have hit on one. He's become the face of the franchise. They've made the playoffs with him. It's like, I don't know that I would let the price go up on him. And what alternative do you actually have? Like we talked yesterday about this new approach to quarterbacking where, veterans don't get as long a leash. Contracts don't mean what they used to mean, even the mega ones. And there's this influx of young quarterbacks constantly coming in. There's a lot of musical chairs, a lot of turnovers. I think there was a record in week 1 for most quarterbacks making their debut with new teams, if I'm not mistaken, right? So I get the landscape. But generally speaking, if you're the Browns, you ain't trying to go back to the drawing board at this position. You better love the one you with. As the eagle flies with the dove, if you can't be with the one you love, you better love the one you with. And they finally found somebody that they can win with. So I just found it interesting that they want to see more. Hell, you saw a lot of people go in and out of Cleveland at that position. So if I got one, I'm holding tight.